Hi. Welcome to Someone Else's Movie, the original podcast where an actor, writer, director, or nebulous industry figure gives a little love to a movie they didn't make. I'm Norm Wilner. I'm a critic, consultant, and programmer based in Toronto, and this is the other thing I do. My guest this week is Daniel Bernhardt, an actor and action star you'll recognize from Bloodsport 2, Mortal Kombat Conquest, The Matrix Reloaded, Parker, John Wick, Logan, Altered Carbon, Barry, and the Nobody films, among many other projects. He's back on the big screen this week in Deathstalker, playing the eponymous fantasy warrior in a new adventure from Psycho Gorman and Frankie Frico's Stephen Kostansky. It's a gloriously goopy and oddly charming project that's in theaters everywhere this Friday, October 10th. Patton Oswalt plays a wizard goblin named Doodad. What else do you need to know? Daniel picked The Matrix, Lily and Lana Wachowskis' 1999 blockbuster that turned Keanu Reeves, Lawrence Fishburne, Carrie-Anne Moss, and Hugo Weaving into kung fu masters, giving American action cinema a revolutionary infusion of Hong Kong wirework and fight choreography, along with a whole bunch of science fiction dystopia. In fact, you could argue that the Wachowskis took the genre to a whole new level, and we're still living in the world they created. Daniel thinks that's pretty cool. This is Someone Else's Movie.
I love that movie so much. It is one of my favorite movies that has inspired me for many, many years. I remember when I saw The Matrix for the first time, I remember going to the theaters. I watched the movie. I went outside, bought a ticket, and watched it again. This blew me away. Now I have a little history about this movie. I was not involved with the movie, but a very dear friend of mine by the name of Chad Stahelski, who you probably know.
I've heard his name.
You heard his name? Chad and I have worked together for many years before The Matrix. I did a movie called Bloodsport 2 in 1995, where Chad played one of the fighters. He choreographed the fight scene we did together, and it turned out to be my best fight in the movie. Based on that, we hired him to be the fight coordinator in Bloodsport 3. Based on that, we did another movie called Perfect Target together, True Vengeance, the beginning of my career as an action actor. And I remember after Perfect Target, Chad got the call to do Matrix, to go double Keanu Reeves. Mm-hmm. So I've heard about The Matrix from Chad over the year before it came out. And he just told me, Daniel, there's something very special. This movie's incredible. And I went to see it, and it just blew my mind.
So this was like opening weekend. This was right when it was becoming the thing that it became.
It became, I mean, just based on what Chad was telling me, I was like, wow. I was like, Keanu Reeves, martial arts, sci-fi. And this is all I love. Mm-hmm. And then seeing what they did, I mean, the Wachowskis, they created something so unique, so special, that there's only very few films. I mean, if I go, my favorite films, Rocky, Gladiator, Braveheart, Matrix, The Crow, those were my favorite films. Terminator, growing up. And there was just something about The Matrix, how they shot this movie, the art, the philosophy behind it, the message. I mean, I've watched this movie probably 20 times, and every time I watch it, there's something new I get out of it. And I go, oh my God, I missed that. Right?
Yeah.
It's pretty genius.
I saw it 2 weeks before it opened. It was the reviewer screening that I was writing for the Toronto Star, and I was the kid on the bottom, and so I got all the genre stuff and all the I covered every horror movie that got released in the 90s. I covered all the action films, a couple of yours, I'm sure. This one was the only time that I saw a film and then the quote unquote real critic decided he wanted to review it. So I wrote the review, but I didn't get to run it. I still have an unpublished Matrix review because I raved about it, because they already, by the time it was like they didn't want to go to the late night screening. It might have been midnight on a Saturday. It was definitely a weekend screening. It was one of those things where at first we thought it was the studio trying to dump a movie they didn't know how to market, because they'll do that, right? Like they'll screen the Nicolas Cage Wicker Man at 10 p.m. the night before it opens. But this was 2 weeks ahead. Saw it with an audience of maybe 300 people who had no idea what they were in for. Half of them were like, they're like John Woo had made Hard Target, and there had been other attempts of bringing over the Asian action sensibility, as you well know, in the 90s. But this was the first time that it felt like somebody really understood the rules and narratives of like anime and manga and all the other Hong Kong action stuff that was being folded in, and turned it into this sci-fi hybrid. And yeah, it was one of those few times where I left the theater, and I was a few years older than most of the people who were sitting around me, and we all just left the theater like drenched in sweat, and eyes popped out of their heads. And this is March, by the way. It's cold out, and we're all just like, we're kind of steaming outside, just eyes as big as dinner plates, excited by what had just happened. And this was the worst part. It wouldn't open for another 2 weeks. I couldn't go back and see it again. So it just lived in my head like a squash ball banging back and forth until I could go back.
This movie, on so many levels, is so special, unique. The message, the way they shot it. I mean, I just watched it recently, and I remember you can literally freeze frame every scene, and you can put the picture on the wall.
Yeah.
It's so perfect.
Yeah. Well, and I think
It's
that's
shot.
their, like that comic book influence that they're doing as well. Like they really understand the value. And they, having watched Bound again fairly recently when the Criterion edition came out.
That's a great movie.
Yeah. And they've always been that good, right? Like the thing about Bound is it's almost offensive that they came out of the gate with such a solid film, because you'd think the bar is so high, and then they do The Matrix. And it's like, what else? How? And it's such a complete shift in genre and tone. In the one thing that isn't different is the same attention to acting. Like they actually care about shaping performance from scene to scene. There's just that little moment where you're ready for the first chase scene when Thomas Anderson is on the window ledge and just immediately like does the thing that the audience would do, fuck this, and go back inside and get captured. It's such a great moment, because now I guess we're used to like the Shane Black pivot, the things that just go wrong in the third act, that we expect these things now. But back then, just the idea that we're being primed for this elaborate turn left, go right upstairs, and they throw it away, because what comes next when Anderson goes in with Smith is so much more distressing and interesting.
I mean, he was just incredible, wasn't he, Hugo?
Yeah, he's fantastic. It's and we will absolutely get to the fact that you have worked with him in this capacity, and I'm dying to know how that went. But to stick with the first film for the moment, God, 26 years later, I don't think people who have grown up with The Matrix understand how seismic it was. It's like explaining to people. I did a podcast once about Logan's Run. It was a friend's show, and none of them had seen it. I had seen it because I was a little older. I saw it as a kid. And the way to contextualize that movie was, this was the year before Star Wars. Right? This is what sci-fi used to be like. And it's set in a shopping mall, and it's all very pretty and aestheticized, and it's dumb as a brick. But The Matrix is the Star Wars of the 90s. And it is impossible to fully explain how things used to work to people who have grown up in the world that it made.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think it was just so, I mean, there were movies that changed my view, how I looked at movies.
Sure.
Which started with Bruce Lee, Enter the Dragon, then going to Chuck Norris, then going to Steven Seagal, then going to Van Damme. And then when Matrix came out, everything changed again, right? And then from Matrix, they went to John Wick. But those movies changed action, how action was made.
Yeah.
And I remember when Matrix came out, everybody wanted Matrix action. It's just everybody wanted Matrix, And I mean, I was blown up. I was like an action guy. I was like, I want to do this. I want to do this. This is amazing. Keanu going, I know Kung Fu. I mean, and I think Keanu's performance in Matrix was just so unbelievable. And I heard rumors, I don't know if it's true, I've read in the trades that they were looking at Will Smith
There's
to
a
play that.
whole long list of people.
I've heard they've looked at Tom Cruise. Now they're all great actors, but think about Matrix. Keanu Reeves in Matrix is nobody else could have played this part better than him.
Oh, I agree.
He is the part.
Yeah. There's an unformed quality to Neo that Reeves can channel, right? Like it's not Reeves himself. He's definitely acting. It's a performance. He's doing all kinds of wonderful little things, which again, no one gave anybody credit for at the time because they just assumed he was basically a mannequin in this film to be pushed around wherever the digital effects go. But you
Keanu is
watch
an
him.
amazing actor. He's an amazing actor, Keanu. Now, I had the pleasure to work with him on both films, Matrix Reloaded and John Wick. And the same for Keanu. I think, and he's getting better and better. I mean, he was amazing in Matrix. He was unbelievable in John Wick. I just rewatched John Wick the other day.
Holds up.
We had a 10th anniversary screening, and Chad invited me to go. I was literally fascinated how good it was. I don't remember. I was like, this is a great movie, right?
Oh,
and
yeah.
Keanu's so good. And then I went back to rewatch The Matrix, and how good is Keanu in that? How subtle he is. It's a lot inside, his sensibility. He's incredible. And then Fishburne.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's one of those casting moments where you cannot imagine anyone else in the role ever, to the point that it, I think, hurts the sequel, Resurrections, when he's not there and there's a different Morpheus. It's just, no disrespect to the actor they got, but it's just not Fishburne. And you get to see Fishburne with Reeves in the John Wick sequel. So, we know that relationship. We understand it. That's what we want. And even in, the way the John Wick films play with the history of the actors as much as it does the history of the world that it takes place in, it's so much more interesting to watch these two men who have this mentor-mentee relationship flipped around now and playing just older, wiser, sadder versions of everything in the John Wick films. And then you see new Morpheus in Resurrections and goes, no, that's not what I want, though. And I understand that the whole point of that film is that you don't get what you want from an IP resurrection, that it's impossible to make a satisfying sequel to The Matrix 25 years later. But at the same time, it's just like, it's still, why do it at all, though?
And I don't know if you knew that, but I was actually in that movie.
Resurrections. Whereabouts are you?
I had a fight scene with Morpheus again.
Okay. Just so everybody knows, that was the silent scissors. You did not make it into. This is just obviously this is an audio podcast. I got to figure it out for people. So what you had a fight scene with the new Morpheus, and it didn't make it.
It didn't make it.
Sorry.
It's okay. It was actually a great scene. I thought it was a really, really fun scene. But I think in the end, Chad is in the movie as well, and he told me it made it till the very, very end, and then in the last round it got cut out.
So I can ask you this then: if you've worked with Lana subsequently, then from the early sequels to the final sequel, how does she approach the legacy, like the responsibility of having made The Matrix? I don't even know how to phrase this. It would be like asking George Lucas, like, how do you feel about the prequels now? Like, where does she come down on what she did, what they did?
I can't really answer that question because I was on set only I was in Berlin. They shot that movie in Berlin. I was there about a month, Chad was there as well, so I spent a lot of time with Chad. I was invited to do the fight scene, and it was a pretty cool fight. I really didn't do that much. It was a fight scene. My character was actually very interesting. Like it was and I really don't want to talk too much about it because it never made. I don't know really how much I can say about it. it was a very interesting character. What happened to my character? I played the same character.
Oh,
Oh, it's the same guy. I played the same guy. Um, what happened in that world where I was. So it made me sad that I didn't make it, but hey, it's filmmaking, you can't do it, you can't make them all. Um, but uh, but yeah, let's go back to the first one.
sure. I'm just trying to get my head because it is the Matrix, and I'm trying to get my head around all the things that people haven't heard talked about, right? Like there's no way to approach this as though it's new. Um, but everything in it, going back and watching it the last time, I realized it's you're watching kind of the final form of a certain type of action movie and the birth of a new one. It's like the only other experience I came out of the theater like sweating and excited was Terminator 2, where
Oh, same here.
right, because what you know and what you expect, it's transcending all of it. And
I can tell you exactly where I was. I saw Terminator 2 in Paris, and I went to see it again right away with all my friends. You got to go see this movie. Same thing. Terminator 2, unbelievable. But back to the Matrix, there was just something about it. How how it just changed. Everybody who saw the movie was just like you said, flabbergasted. People didn't really realize what happened. It was
yeah,
like, oh my God, what did I just it was, it was almost like it was almost like a spiritual experience. Maybe that's maybe the perfect way of saying it, right? Like you said, you said you were sweating and excited, and your eyes were like this. It was almost like I had like a spiritual awakening, and the way they shot it, and the way it was done, and the action and the fighting and the philosophy and what was behind, and Jesus Christ, and it was just all like amazing.
yeah, yeah. You're basically, I think, we all became the acolytes. We were all like you're witnessing a miracle because you
A
never thought
miracle,
you'd
yeah.
see something like this
That's
happen.
actually it's a very good way to explain that, to say that. That's actually absolutely true.
Yeah. And then you have to tell people about it, right? That's
Yeah.
the
How can
acolyte,
you
the disciple
explain that?
thing. Yeah.
How can you
No,
explain?
but it's right there. Like they even provided that in the script. You cannot explain it to someone. They have to see it for themselves.
Yeah.
And it's the best marketing tool in the world because if you come at
Oh, I didn't
somebody,
know that. I didn't know that.
yeah, well, that's Morpheus's line, right? No one can tell you what the Matrix is. You have to see it for
Yeah,
yourself. They
okay,
put
yeah,
it in
you're
the
right.
TV
Right.
spots,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
instantly it's just like, oh yeah, okay, that makes it. That's how you sell it. That's you can show people bullet time. You can show people the Trinity jumping over the rooftops. You can show I know kung fu. You can have all the moments, but until you actually watch the way it unfolds and experience the first act and get led in, it's not easily described without sounding like you're selling something impossible, like you're setting people up for something that they'll never be able to understand, that they won't believe it can be realized the way it was. And then you see it, it's like, no shit, that's exactly it. That's they made the movie that they wanted to make, and it is a simple, straight, like you can say it's Ghost in the Shell. You can say it's Terminator. It's like it's man versus machine. It's all these things, but the way they've done it and the shapes they use to tell the story, and just the fact that we get one tiny little lecture in the White Room from Morpheus with a battery as an image that tells you everything you need to know. That yes, there's a couple of visual effects about what happens in the future, but none of that matters because we're in this space with them, and it's by staying on Reeves rather than flashing off for 20 minutes to the future war or something and coming back. It's the same thing Cameron did with the first Terminator. There
Yeah.
is such minimalism in the storytelling when it's needed because what we imagine is obviously going to be more effective, saves on the money that they can put somewhere else, and then
Right.
you let the actors sell it.
Yeah. And Morpheus, I mean, he's so this. I think it took me many, many rounds to kind of, and I'm not sure if I really understand it 100% because every time I watch it, I catch something new and I go, damn, I didn't catch that last time. Did you have the same experience?
The first few times. I haven't revisited it as often. I think I probably watch it every 5 years or so at this point. But
Yeah,
the first month I saw it, I want to say 3 times. That makes sense. Just
yeah,
because the first time was for me, the second time was to see it again, and then the third time
yeah,
was to watch the audience. And it was maybe a month in, so I think everybody who was coming back again. It wasn't There were not a lot of new people, but feeling the waves of the film and watching it work a crowd, I love that about a film that I've seen before that other people haven't seen. Every time I screen Jaws for an audience, there's going to be 5 people in there that haven't seen it, and I listen to them. It's it's my favorite thing, other than watching a movie for the first time for myself.
right, right, right,
Experiencing a great movie with new people
right.
is so much fun. And The Matrix was one of those things where people, like, this is 1999, people still applauded in theaters at the end of the movie if they really liked it. They could cheer during a fight scene. You could kind of feel the tension building in the red pill, blue pill scene. It's an audience participation film in a way that I think we've kind of drifted away from
Yeah, because remember, even like, do you remember the Rocky Horror Picture Show?
oh yeah.
Because I remember that when I was younger, we would go every Friday night. I saw that movie probably 30 times.
Oh wow.
We would go watch it. We would dance. We would throw the rice. We would do the whole thing, you know? And that's a little bit what you were just explaining with the Matrix. It's the same. Like it's the same when I watch Rocky again. I've watched Rocky probably, I don't know, 20 times. Every time when I watch TV, which I don't do a lot, but when I watch TV and the movie comes on, I have to watch it. The Matrix is on. If it comes on, I have to watch it. It's like art in the highest form.
Hey, it's Norm, interrupting my own show to bring you up to speed on Shiny Things, my newsletter about physical media, culture, and the odd streaming project. Last week, I wrote about Decal's beautiful Blu-ray special edition of The Life of Chuck, and there's a lot more coming this week, like Warner's 4K releases of F1 and the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, and Paramount's restoration of Aeon Flux. Sign up for a 14-day free trial at shiny-things.ghost.io, or find a link at the Simcast Blue Sky account. You like reading about movies? I like writing about them. Come check it out. Well, it just also, you're connecting to the thing that you love and finding it on TV as a surprise. Like that, just, I don't think that happens for people anymore.
Right.
The sense of just idly flipping. I still have cable too, and every now and then I'll do that. But
Yeah.
now you can curate your experiences so much more, and nobody has to watch anything they don't want to watch. But the sense that even 15 years ago, you could be surprised by something or see an old favorite, and it's like reconnecting with a friend. Of course, you want to sit down and catch up, right?
Yeah. And like not just as you were talking, I was thinking, just remembering the very beginning. Do you remember the Warner Brothers sign?
Oh,
Because
yeah. Breaking
that's always
down.
something that when I was because when I don't know if you know this, but when I was younger, when I was in my teens, when I did my studies, I was an usher. And the only reason why I was an usher is so I can watch every movie for free. I got a little pass. I could watch all the movies for free. And I could watch a movie. The second the movie came on, I could tell you which studio it was just by the first sound or the first. I knew which studio it was. I knew all the sounds. I knew all the visuals. And then I remember when Matrix came on, when that Warner Brothers sign went green, and then it went like,
Yeah. Like
I mean,
tracking noise.
huh?
Oh, like video tracking noise running
Yeah,
through
yeah,
the
yeah.
image.
I just had chills. I was like, wow.
Yeah. My
What?
grandfather owned a movie theater, so I have the same kind of relationship to the idea of film as a thing that's always there for you.
Yeah.
And
I was just like, wow. So that's why, it was really hard. I just to pick the Matrix, but there's so many. At first one, I started Rocky, is it Matrix? Is it Terminator? Is it Gladiator? Because those are all films that I just love. And every time they come on, I have to crow. I have to watch them. John Wick, but a John Wick I couldn't because I'm in it. But so I thought Matrix was just, it still blows me away when I watch it today. I still love it so much.
I will defend the sequels, at least Reloaded and Revolutions, any chance I get, because I do think that the only way to top the Matrix is to keep telling the story and scale up and use the budget and use the time and use the expectation of the audience that you know what you're doing. And I know they weren't embraced as widely as the first film was, but like they couldn't have been, right? Because they're all about how you can't do it. It's just like Resurrections, they're all about the impossibility of making the same movie twice and having to come up with new ideas and new things. And I will fight for them. I like them a lot.
No, me too. I feel exactly the same way. Now, I think The Matrix is pretty much to a perfect movie you can make. And it's really hard to top that. I do think Matrix Reloaded was an incredible movie. But there's still something about it's like the same in the John Wick franchise. Because I'm so close to Chad, so I know the whole history of the franchise. There's something very special about the first one. Very, very special. But then every other movie got bigger and better. But there's still something very unique about the first one. And it's the same with Matrix. You know, the first one is just something that's very unique. And it doesn't mean like the other one has to be better or bigger. It's just different. But the first one, it's like there's just something because it's the first time you saw it. It's the first time you experienced it. Same with John Wick. The first time you experienced that, it's hard to explain, but there's just something that like that first love. Maybe it's like a first love, you know?
I think, you know what? I think it is the first love, but I don't think it's ours. I think it's the filmmakers because they don't know they're going to get to make more, right? They might plan
that's
on it.
That's a very good point.
They put everything they can into the one that they're doing because who knows what happens next, right? Like
they were probably unseduced, it was just probably whatever, do whatever you want to do, and you know, we're gonna put this movie out and then see what happens, and then just went like, wow.
Yeah. It's the thing that William Goldman in his book Adventures in the Screen Trade wrote about Hollywood being able to dismiss a left field hit, like a success that no one sees coming, as a non-repeating phenomenon, because that means they don't have to try to understand why it happened. But I do think that's why the Wachowskis make the Matrix movies, the sequels, and no one else does, in the same way Stahelski won't let go of John Wick, because the studios are just scared enough of screwing it up if they do it themselves. And that's what Resurrections is about as well, right? Like the whole idea is that this is going to happen whether we want it to happen or not. Let's do it ourselves. But when you see the original, that's the argument. It's because this person pulled this into existence, or these two people in this case, built this movie out of, yes, it's familiar. There are recognizable pieces of culture and various like specific images and reference points. That's fine. That's how storytelling works. But no one could have made it but them. They wrote it, they directed it, they envisioned it in the first place. And then of course they're the ones who let it get bigger and wilder because they can in the sequels. But yeah, no, the first film, the first Matrix, the first John Wick's, even the first Terminator, really, T2 is like on pretty much every level, it is an improvement. It's more polished, the effects and the stunts, it's because he had the money to do it because of the first one. But the first one, it's perfect. It's perfect the way it is.
Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree. I feel like first Terminator, absolutely amazing. But I have to say, I like Terminator 2 almost better.
I don't hate it by any means. No, I love it. But having just watched the first one again, the 4K came out last year, and I'm just like, there's not an ounce of fat on it. It moves like a freight train. It's under 2 hours.
I'll watch it again.
Yeah, and incredibly, Cameron didn't mess with the grain of the film the way he has with all the other subsequent remasters. It looks like a movie, as opposed to a kind of a brightened and heightened for TV the way he does. But it's also the love story. Like there's no love story in Terminator 2. Not really. It's John and the robot, but that's not the same as Kyle and Sarah. And you just see, like, again, it's a guy making a movie with his whole heart and just pushing to get everything in there, shooting it. Like he didn't go with stereo sound because he could put another $50,000 towards one other effect scene. It's like the guy's an engineer. But T2 is great. I, again, left the theater in the same state as I did the first time I saw The Matrix and could not believe that he pulled off what he pulled off. But yeah, there's something raw and scrappy. Same way Bound, was made for almost no money and looks like $1 million. And it's a character piece that's grounded in all this film noir stuff that's still this incredibly progressive queer drama / thriller for 1996. It's incredible.
It's incredible. I mean, it's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing. Yeah, Matrix. I mean, especially like I was saying earlier, my relationship to Chad, to the Matrix,
Mhm.
watching it, then being part of the sequel. I mean, it's just that was a very special time in my life, I have to say.
I'm sure. And this is where we get to pivot, and I get to ask, do you have the same relationship to Deathstalker? Because I saw that one when I was a kid, probably a little too young to see it. And what you and
Yeah.
and Kostansky have done is somehow like a faithful, affectionate, and not in the least bit creepy version of a new story for the character and
So you
the
saw it?
property. I did, yes.
Oh, that makes me so happy. So, you know, it's very interesting. Like I got an opportunity in 1995 to star in a movie called Bloodsport 2,
Mhm.
where I replaced Jean-Claude Van Damme, who I was a huge fan of at the time. And I got the chance to play Alex Cardo. And 30 years later, I'm getting an offer, and that movie actually made the theaters, Bloodsport 2. And 30 years later, I'm getting an offer from Steven Kostansky calling me, going, "Hey, listen, Daniel, I love your movies. I'm a big fan. I love the Bloodsport series. I love Mortal Kombat Conquest, and I want you to play Deathstalker." So 30 years later, being the lead again. And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. You know, fan of the franchise. But like you said, um, I loved his I loved his vision. And I love Steven's movies. I love how quirky he is, how fun he is, how crazy he is. And when he pitched me the movie, it was just so unique. He told me that I'll be fighting real monsters that he will build. He told me about I'm gonna go on this journey, and it's kind of like if you think about it, it's like a little bit like John Wick, where I get chased by all these assassins.
Yeah.
I told Chad, I go, he goes, what? Being chased by all these assassins.
Slightly more
And
primitive, but I don't think there's a lot of crossover.
of course, of course, of course. I was just teasing him. And I can fight with a sword, and I can run around in tight pants and long hair, and I it was very, very fun to make this movie. And like I've been in this business for 30 years, and all the experience that I had from all these movies I've done, from the Bloodsport movies to Mortal Kombat Conquest to the John Wick, Atomic Blonde, Matrix Reloaded, all of those experiences, putting it in Deathstalker, and it became this really, like, people always say, well, how did you prepare? And I was like, well, I read the script, talked to my director, I showed up on set. I did a lot of this on set because I wanted to be as big as I could on this movie. I really wanted to be, I was inspired by Arnold and Conan. I wanted to be really big. And I just kind of became Deathstalker. It was the weirdest thing, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I have to imagine that because Kostansky's whole thing is physical realism, is build the world. And I have to imagine that it's easier playing with stuntmen and creature effects as opposed to waiting for the tennis ball and the stick to get close enough to have a reaction.
I really haven't done that a lot, to be honest. Um, I've I've done some mocap where I had to do that.
Mhm.
And it's not that it bothers me. I have a pretty crazy imagination. So I can play a scene right now where I have to imagine there's a little squirrel and I'm fighting that squirrel. Um, it's just something that I can with my crazy imagination. But of course, if you get the opportunity, you have like a little squirrel there fighting with you, or having a two-headed monster fighting with you. It is very unique. And Steven is such an artist. Steven is a true artist. And this may interest you. We got invited to a film festival called the Locarno Film Festival,
Mhm.
very prestigious film festival. And I got a call from them, and we spoke on the phone. And they were asking me if I could come and visit and support the movie. And I said, absolutely. And I said, so how did you guys choose this movie? And they go, well, Daniel, we chose Deathstalker because it's art. This is real art. This movie is made by hand. Steven's hands, building the monsters, painting the matte paintings, Remember those scenes? Remember the last scene, that amazing matte painting?
Yeah.
That's
It's
hand
beautiful.
painted. It's
Well,
beautiful.
were you familiar with Stephen's work before? Had you
I,
seen
I, I of course, yeah, of course.
like The Void specifically is the one that I
Yeah.
think of because this feels like
I love the Void. The Void is, I love that one. It's great. And he is so, I mean, he has so little and he makes so much. I mean, if you knew our budget, I mean, we had a small budget on this movie. We shot for like 27 days, I think. I'm giving all the credit to Steven. Even though I'm Deathstalker, for me, he is Deathstalker because this movie is him. He deserves all the credit. He is the man behind this. He's a legend, you know? And we had such a good time making this movie.
I'm delighted for him too. I mean, I know him a tiny bit. He's done the show, and Connor Sweeney did it a couple or last year, I guess, when Frankie Frico came out, and just the sense that this is his playground now. That this is where Steven gets to run around and build monsters, and still somehow, despite all the demands of the genre and all the expectations of the fans, he can throw in a curveball. This is not a spoiler, people listening to the episode, of a scene where how can I put it? The warmth of a brotherly hug. Like it's meaningful. It's a moment that's genuinely sweet and weird and fun, but also matters to the story.
Yeah. It actually, my boss from Shout Studios, who actually distributes the film, he called me up after he saw the movie and he loves this movie. And he calls me up and he goes, I mean, actually, we had a meeting and he tells me, you know, my favorite scene in the whole movie is when you hug this the swamp monster. It is such, and you know, and I remember Steven came up to me and he pitched me the idea, and I was like, okay. But then what I did, that was me. Like, you remember when I went like,
Yeah. Yeah. You have to act it, right? You can't just do it. It's a scene for the character.
yeah.
Oh, it's delightful.
And this is the beauty about Steven. Steven is such a generous director. He gives you an incredible playground. You know, he writes an incredible script, but then he lets you do, like when you have an idea, he lets you do whatever you want to do. You know, now I lean a lot on my directors because it's very important to me because like the Wachowskis, like Stahelski, they have such like Kostansky. Did you just hear that? Wachowski, Stahelski, Kostansky. As I'm saying, I'm going like,
It's a mnemonic.
interesting. Um, they have such a clear vision of what they want to do. So they've been working on their project this long. I come in right here and I bring my part, but they've built this world for so much time, right? So that's why I lean on my directors because they know so much more. There's so much more that they thought about. Now, of course, I'll do my thing, but then they'll go, yeah, but here's the thing. The reason why I want to do this is because of blah, 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 blah. And I go, I get it. I never thought about that, you know? And Steven, he had so many great ideas. And then he would just go, well, now what would you do? And I would just go like, this would actually, let me try something. And he loved it. That was not in the script like this. That I just made that up on the day.
But it's exactly
You
what it
know?
needs.
But that's the great relationship between a director and an actor where you have such a trust, where I understand what he's doing. And I think in the end with this film with Deathstalker was, you know, like in the past when I worked on movies, I worked on the character and I was like, oh, and I worked so hard. And with Deathstalker, I just, you know, I read my script, I learned my lines, I did my workouts. But once I start putting on the clothing and the costume, and I just became that character. I know it sounds very corny when I say it like this, but I became that part and I really didn't have to do much. And And I have Doodat sitting across from me talking to me, and I'm talking to a wizard who's small and looks funny. I'm fighting a two-headed monster, and I'm going like, well, that was weird. You know, it was pretty extraordinary.
Yeah. I mean, I think you basically, for the tone of the film to work, you just kind of have to let go and be there.
Yeah, and this may interest you. I have a dear friend. I worked on a film called Nobody with Bob Odenkirk,
Mhm.
who I had the pleasure training for many, many years to prepare him for the Nobody one and then for the sequel, and we became really good friends. And he's very supportive about my career as well. And he knows that I love acting and that I do these parts. And he always fights for me to be, he actually fought for me to be in Nobody 2, even though I'm playing, I'm already in one, he's playing a different guy in number 2.
Yeah.
He really wanted me in it. But he said, hey, listen, Daniel, I think this is a great opportunity for you doing Deathstalker. Just give me the script. I want to read the first 15 pages and I'll give you my 5 cents, what I think about it. He comes back to me and he goes, look, Daniel, people love these kind of movies. Here's what I would advise you. Do not play the joke. You got to take this world serious. You play it serious, but don't play the joke. Don't try to be funny, right? And
Yeah.
that's exactly what I did. So I played it serious. I played it, but it became funny because the circumstance, so you don't have to be funny. The circumstance is funny. Me talking to Doodad is already funny, right?
Yeah.
Me fighting a two-headed monster, that's pretty funny, right? Me giving a hug to a swamp monster who just ripped off people's heads, that's pretty funny.
Yeah. But again, he can laugh at himself, but not the situation,
Yeah,
right? I
yeah.
think that's the key. Um, this would be the bit where I pivot again by asking whether there's anything of the film you were discussing that you brought to your own work. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's nothing of the Matrix in Deathstalker because they're such completely different worlds. But have you used or quoted? Obviously, the Matrix sequels would have involved direct relationships, like your own love of the film. But was there anything that you've borrowed or lifted or stolen outright from the first Matrix for your own work anywhere?
That's a tough question.
It's supposed to be.
Yeah, it's a tough question. You know, I think to me, the first Matrix was the perfect movie. It's the perfect movie. I'm a very visual person. I think where we scored on Deathstalker is we had an incredible DP. Our DP Andy that Steven is good friends with and he picked did such an amazing job that, like in the Matrix, you can freeze frame moments in the film and you can actually put them on the wall. For me as a character, I mean, there's nothing really I can take from the Matrix, but what I could say from Matrix Reloaded, I could say I always bring my best. You know, like on Matrix, when I got the opportunity to do Matrix Reloaded, which was huge. That was that year the biggest movie.
Yep.
I shot it in 1998 and 1999, came out in 2000. It was the biggest movie of the year. And I did the best I could at the time. And that's the same thing I did in Deathstalker. I gave everything I had. I did the best I could with what I had in that moment. And that's what I always do. Would I do it better today? Maybe. Who knows? We'll see that if I do another one. And then we'll have the same conversation in a few years. And you go, well, but you said.
I'm perfectly willing to be held to that. And yeah, best of luck with the film and with, Deathstalker 2. They made one, they can make another one.
I think it's coming out October 10th. And I really hope that, and you see, like The Matrix, it's a film you have to see in the theaters.
Yeah.
Deathstalker, I really hope that people get a chance to see it in the theaters because it is. I've seen it 3 times now. First time on a TV because I had to watch it for interviews. Second time I saw it at Locarno on a big screen. I was like, whoa. And then the third time, I could just relax at the Fantastic Fest. I just sat back, watched it with an audience, and it was extraordinary.
This is what I'm talking about, right? Like the pleasure of seeing a film with a group that's seeing it for the first time.
Exactly. Like you said in the beginning, it was just extraordinary. I had this lady sitting, I had our distributor sitting right next to me, and then there was a woman sitting next to him. I was like looking over and go, oh my God, I love this woman. She was screaming through the film. I was like, what a great, and I think she was actually a reporter, somebody told me. I was like, he's got a write as a good write-up. She thought it was the funniest thing ever.
My thanks to Daniel Bernhardt, who's back on the big screen this Friday, October 10th, in Stephen Kostanski's glorious new take on Deathstalker. Thanks also to Sarah De Bruin. She knows what she did. You can find Daniel on Instagram at @TheRealDanielBernhardt, all one word, and you can find The Matrix on 4K, Blu-ray, and DVD from Warner Bros. Discovery Home Entertainment. It's also streaming on Crave and Starz in Canada, and available to rent or buy on various VOD services across North America. You can find me on Blue Sky at Norm Wilner, and you can find this podcast there at Semcast, SEMcast, and on the web at someoneelsesmovie.com. The first year of the show is still available for just $20 at payhip.com/Semcast. That's the first 52 episodes of Someone Else's Movie, 41 of which aren't currently available anywhere else. And check out my newsletter, Shiny Things, at shiny-things.ghost.io. I think you'll enjoy it. Our theme song is by The Last Year. If you like it, or the show in general, please say so. Leave a review wherever you've been listening. Every little bit helps. It truly does. And check out the other shows on the Frequency Podcast Network while you're doing that. Stay safe, watch movies, get all the boosters. I'll see you next week.